Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation, what is sensorality? And so, again, starting off with a big step, but again, remember there's chronology in linguistics, or there's chronology always, right? Things happen in a given order, they're sufficiently, they don't differentiate that fast, meaning, I don't know how to explain this, it's not difficult, but like, again, if you go spend a lot of money in one night, right? They definitely have, in the order in which you spent that money happened. Do you remember it the next morning? Again, not even to say you're like blacked out or anything, but just there's a lot of data. So things happen in order, but a lot of things happen really quickly. So it's sufficiently mumbled and jumbled where you have to try to find the chronological consequence. And that is what we were doing. We were progressing through analysis, what would be called linguistic analysis, but it's just analysis. It contains all of the logic. Again, you express any scientific result, any research with language. So linguistic analysis is the analysis of linguistics, but the structure of language is the entirety of apparatus, the entire structure in which you can prove anything. And so we form this big thing from rhythm to algorithm. And so that was the chronological consequence of the axiomatization of speciality. Directly literally, speciality is special with an ITY. Its complete definition, the natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism. And that was stabilized, right? The speciality is special with an ITY. That is the finalizing, concluding linguistic result. It's directly and immediately true. And so that produced a definition, and it produced this logical structure for the next axiomatic derivation, sensorality. What is a sensor? And again, we're demonstrating the correct spelling of sensorality as a geometric consequence. But our chronological consequence is speciality is the first thing to ever be proven in mathematics with complete analysis. Right, the finalization, speciality is special with an ITY. It's the conceptual basis. So now the other axiomatic derivation is in chronological order to that. In the same way you have mathematical history, someone comes along, proves a result, or has an idea, or has a conjecture, then they mull it over for 20, 30, 50, 100 years, however amount of time. We're progressing through the entire structure because we just move through the linguistics, but this is, again, huge chunks of research where it would take, 10, 20, 30, 100 years to figure out what you're saying. But we can progress our language consistently so we can produce a definitive result. And so the overall structure of from rhythm to algorithm was part of a proof that's already been established. And so we can start off this episode finally conceptually iterating. And so the first big concept, iteration versus substitution. We talk about direct iteration a lot, both changing the word form, adding a letter, switching the order of a letter, expanding how many letters a base word has, and then substitution, this word means that. Right? Speciality, the natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism, that's its emotional, that's its complete domain definition. It's motional, its fundamental physical definition. During its axiomatization, because there's a couple things going on here, when we were proving speciality, it was infinite uniqueness. Then once we demonstrated syllable by syllable, but that speciality is special with an ITY, that it stabilizes the definition. And so we go from infinite uniqueness, and now we have endless differentiation, is the same progression of the definition. But what we're doing is we went from infinite uniqueness to speciality, and now we have the self-containment of this structure from rhythm to algorithm. And we came to finally arrived at a definition, what is a rhythm? The minimization of steps. Go do a physical process right now. It doesn't matter what physical process it is, and you're going to try to do the least amount of steps to work through a cycle. And so we have a rigorous definition of what a rhythm is. We've already had one, right? A cycle that doesn't do work, but now we have a definition for what is a cycle, a series of steps. And so series of steps versus sequence of steps, we'll get to that as well. Again, it's just another one of these dichotomies. I don't know if we completely resolve it, but right, a cycle is a series of steps or a cycle is a sequence of steps. Which one's definitively correct? Right? They're both conceptually adequate. But point being is now we can iterate from rhythm, from the minimization of steps to algorithm, An algorithm is a direct iteration of logarithm. What is a logarithm? An exponent. Sensorality is from minimization of steps to exponentiation. Right? That's just a direct linguistic substitution conceptually and word forms. We're taking our variable, sensorality. Sensorality is from rhythm to algorithm. Right? Sensorality is minimization to exponentiation, and gives us a direct, rigorous mathematical definition. Because we're tightening up all of these definitions to, again, something is definitive, there's a chunk of syllability, directly iterates and stabilizes what is a sensor independent of one person. Not Brad saying here's what a sensor is, not Johnny saying here's what a sensor is, and certainly not what Professor Sean Carroll, who should be in prison, says what a sensor is, but how words are naturally defined. And so that was our big start, as we've definitely at this point iterated from rhythm to algorithm. Rhythm, the minimization of steps, just operative word minimization, right? Exponentiation. Again, we'll go through the steps because now we're just deriving the same things that we're going to get to. And so that is the big starting place, and then moving through our typical, again, steps. Steps are sets of linguistic implications presented by these words, these definitive chunks of syllability with unique meaning, sufficiently differentiated from it is what it is. What is weight to friction? Sensorality takes steps. All right, it's kind of a logical conceptual usage. You put one foot in front of the other, small steps, baby steps first. What is demand to reward? Direct iteration. Is reward necessary? Sensorality is momentum potential. Is momentum potent? Rhythm maximizes productivity. Momentum is productive. What is momentum to mathematics? What is stepping to vibrating? Is movement through or around? We have these discrete independent things with mass. Density is definite. That definite mass is a dynamic of charge. Do you move through a medium, or do you move around other things? Emphasizing the prepositions here. Again, this dichotomy, velocity and viscosity. Is resistance rapid? Velocity, momentum, the natural conceptual usage is rapid movement, not just movement. Viscosity and velocity are inverses, movement and resistance to movement. We've now questioned what exactly an inverse is with this direct physical intuition. Is the inverse of movement not movement, or is the inverse of rapid movement slow movement? Right? Is the inverse of mass big thing and small thing, electron and proton? Getting to the point where I'm thinking we can assert an inverse, again, is two sides of the same coin, and not like an opposite is like separate. Because we've had this existence, inversion, to opposition is what we've been saying. But again, things are discrete. My notebook is not me. That's sufficiently differentiated physically, all right? Again, just pointing out our steps, we're getting to something definitive. What purpose does an inverse serve, right? Inverse is serve. The direct literal statement of the iteration add a space to inverse, highlighting the linguistic association, the word inverse to the conceptualization, again, what an inverse is, the quality of inversion. And so, again, what is inverse is serve. What purpose does an inverse serve is one of these, again, self-generated questions. What is odor to an odometer, right? An odometer, how many miles you drove in your car. Again, it's just a direct iteration of odor. What is weight to wake? What is charge to volume? Is charge bright? I think we've hit that before. What is prudentiality to potentiality? Right? Is prudence potent? Sensorality is fluency prudence. Sensorality is prudence influence. What is impotence to influence? What is impotence to infertility? Sensorality fertilizes. Is viscosity heavy? Is censorship productive? is proactive productive? What is positivity to productivity? What is stipulation to capitulation? Opposition is antonymity. So now again we have this existence, inversion, opposition. What is a synonym? What is an antonym? Right? A synonym is not identity. It is what it is. I am I. Me is me. It is what it is. Anything is only it. And then, a synonym is similar, but an antonym is opposite. Again, we've hit that direct logic before, but again, just progressing through, there's only so much logical structure. What is synonymity to antonymity, right? To me, again, conceptually, it feels like an antonym is more opposite than a given thing, than a synonym can be similar. Doesn't really matter. Again, all of this logic is contained within the letters. We just have to get it in the right order. What is antonymity to identity? What is the opposite of identical? Is identical ideal? Identical is impossible, right? I am only me, you are only you. Any one given object is only one given object. Infinite uniqueness, individualism, discreteness, separatism, we're all individuals. What is combustion to electricity? What is electricity to vibration? Because electricity, the movement of electrons, vibration, not movement. What is combustion to communication? Can you have movement that isn't electricity? And now, again, not the current going through the wire right here, but just the natural fact that my mass is stabilized charge, and a moving charge induces a magnetic field. Moving electrons is electricity. You see what I'm saying? It's like, you wouldn't say I'm conducting electricity like outwardly. My brain signals have some electricity internally, but you wouldn't say I'm conducting electricity, but I'm moving charge. That's electricity. You get what I'm saying, just highlighting some stuff. What is combustion to communication? What is language to explanation? What is a cycle? Again, a series of steps, a sequence of steps. I naturally wrote series, but again, this dichotomy of series and sequence, why does that present in math class? Why is it so prevalent logically? Is immediately right there. But a cycle is a series of steps, natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality cycles rhythm. Sensorality is a step cycle. What is cyclicality to clinicality? Right? Cycles click. Direct iteration, natural definition. Or cycling is clicking. Again, if I use a natural definition without the word is, you can trivially expand it to use the word is. Sensorality is clinical. Rhythmicality is vibrationality. So now down rhythm, the minimization of steps, vibration, not movement. Rhythm maximizes momentum, rhythm maximizes velocity. If you want to maximize efficiency, you form a rhythm. It's this dynamic of minimization, minimizing inefficiency to maximize output. Just talking our physical definitions out loud. But conceptually, what we're really asking is, when does acceleration start? When is the moment of movement? Well, luckily for us, sensorality is the moment of movement. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a spin cycle, natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing this is natural linguistic progression, but then you immediately write that sentence and you think about your washing machine. Sensorality deodorizes a spin cycle. Direct iteration, sensorality disinfects a spin cycle. Is sensation cyclic? Sensorality is a sense cycle. Is rotation rhythmic? Is rhythm hypothetical? Is hypothetical theoretical? So again, we've said the key word, or one time here, theoretical versus explanation. We've said it at the very beginning. Typically when people say I have a theory, they're conceptually immediately saying I have an explanation. But in reality, when you go into Harvard and then you go into Ohio State, and then you go into any academic university and say, what is mathematics? And they don't have a consistent answer. There's no consensus. If you're not consistent, you can't be right. right? There is no quote unquote theory in the entirety of the species. There's no consistency. What people have been trying to accomplish by saying what is identified as the Langland program and then what people in academia say is the unification of physics is the same thing. And it is what it is. It's the form of all language. But yeah, just highlighting people, when people conceptually say I have a theory, they literally mean I have an explanation. And at the society ontological level, you have no consistency in what you call mathematics. You can't have a theory of anything. And then the theory of everything, as we derived, is the theorem of everything. In linguistics, the fundamental syllable is ing. Again, we've already been through that a while ago. Does sensation rotate? What is rotation to contemplation? Is template form? A rotation is a cycle. Sensorality is a step of rotation. And this is one of these natural progressions where it's like I'm trying to generalize step here. Right? What is rotation to stepation? What is rotation to stepping? What is rotation to stepality? None of those word forms even seem remotely real. But that's what's going on here. Sensorality is a step of rotation. The conceptualization of step that we just progressed as our physical definition. What is a cycle? What is rhythm? To what is rotation? Sensorality cuts corners. Sensorality skips steps. Right? He doesn't skip a beat. He doesn't skip a step. He doesn't cut corners. All logic you readily use and been exposed to. Now back to random French words. What is torque to rotation? Right, uniqueness and torque. Is torque unique? I think we can get to that directly here in a second. Yeah, we do. Yeah. But what is torque to rhythm? And force applied to a lever or to a radius. But again, everything is moving in orbit. Everything is in a circular motion, a spherical motion. What is sensation to torque? What is torque to rhythm? Sensorality es a toque de torque. Is that English? Is that Spanish? Is that French? We have sensorality, and then the natural conjugation to me was the Spanish one. Es a toque is a touch of torque. But then torque is French. So sensorality es a torque de torque. Then we the de, you can say de or de, up to you. But again, emphasizing torque and toque, touch in Spanish, touche, torque in French, que es toque a touche, qua est touche a torque. What is, that one's all in French. What is touch to torque? But again, in fundamental ontology, we use torque and say torque, and it's clearly one of these things that looks exactly like France land. Emmanuel Macaroni is invading once again. A torque unique, direct iteration. Is torque forceful? Is torque unique? What is torque to pressure? Can you torque under pressure? Can you torque under pressure? Can you twerk under pressure? Luckily, I kid you not, we derived this sentence and I pull up Reddit, and then there's this video that we've all just seen. Again, if you scroll the internet like I do, of the New York Knicks, and there's this white chick kind of sitting on a stand, and this black chick is like up, and the white chick's kind of in her way. If you see the full video, not even really commenting on this part, but she like throws the white chick off the top, or just this like light pole, the cement base of like a light pole. And then she starts twerking. So can you twerk under pressure? Apparently she can. But again, we're producing a general form and then a specific solution with sensorality to demonstrate how words work and why it matters. But yeah, again, I have a whole video called, twerking, working, or some stupid shit like that. Again, torque, what is torque to work? And then you have the word twerking, like the dance. What is twerking to twisting? Again, force per unit, or force, angular force. Force applied to a radius, but everything is angular, right? Momentum, all of it's angular momentum, right? Momentum is momentum. And then you put an adjective and you say it's angular, but everything has containment of the geometry that it lives in, because sounds come from the shapes. But yeah, go watch that Knicks video if you haven't seen that. It's kind of funny. What is power to pressure? Sensorality is power pressure. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is pressure power. Sensorality is a power cycle. Natural definition, direct iteration. I kid you not, that form struck me as a power series. I'm about to do my Taylor expansions in a power cycle. I'm going to power expand my power series. But again, we say power series and not power sequence. And then just the overall usage is just like people say sequence so much more than they say series. Is it time? That's kind of what we conjectured. But definitely a fundamental dichotomy that comes up a lot. Sensorality is a power cycle. Is a spin cycle a power cycle? So this is where we had the direct iteration of from rhythm to algorithm, explicitly stating the steps we said at the beginning. From rhythm to algorithm, again, that's not even a theorem. It's just an acknowledgement of, again, rhythm is rhythm. Now we substitute our definition for rhythm from a minimization of steps to algorithm. From a minimization of steps to logarithm, direct iteration. A logarithm is an exponent, natural definition, direct iteration. From a minimization of steps to exponentiation. Stating the fundamental theorem of logics directly, sensorality is from a minimization of steps to exponentiation. Natural definition, direct iteration, reducing that, sensorality minimizes exponentiation. And so that's a rigorous mathematical proper definition right there. Still have to get it to our reduced form to make sure that Terence Teo is definitely approving of our proof, even though Brad's the only guy that's proven anything ever. So it's like, where's your guys' math? Again, this is proofing. This isn't even like math is. Again, you've seen all the steps where it's like, here's what all of math is, literally, conceptually, logically. That's one little step. Let's move along. I don't think Terence is moving along in this proof too well. But I'm sure if he studies his times tables, he'll pick up the next steps real quick. What is exponentiation to exoneration? And now connecting to our last episode, right? Speciality is unexpected behavior. What is exponentiation to expectation? Are exponents potent? Sensorality minimizes exponentiation. Sensorality minimizes expectation, right? Don't get your hopes up. It's just math. It's just a word. We're just learning a vocab word. It's going to be a direct iteration of syllables. It's not going to solve everything. It's just going to be definitely true. And you screwed up all of science and history. And can Brad have a little bit of money? And no one cares because there are no values. As always, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution remains violated. And nobody has any values, and the law is a big fucking joke, and no one cares. But we move along. Minimization is the opposite of exponentiation. Natural definition, direct iteration. Exponentiation is special. Natural definition, direct iteration. So now it is in the next two steps. We restate the fundamental theorem of math, and it's a big one. And like I said, this is finite. You've never seen this many fundamental theorems relabeled, but it's not that many, frankly. Because when I did it over email, there's a lot more because I have to show this different differentiation, which you naturally pick up by me presenting things vocally, which I wasn't allowed to do illegally in direct violation of the Constitution and all of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that no one cares about. But speciality, the natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism, speciality, infinite uniqueness, speciality, endless differentiation. But what, right, endless differentiation is exponentiation. Right, that's a concept to spend a second on. Or when you say exponentiation, can you grow exponentially? I have my stocks, are they going up? Oh, they actually are kind of going up, nice. But when you say exponential growth, right, I have compounding interest. I have $1 and then it comes $10 and I have 10,000% return. But we're bounded by physics, right? Addition is localization. If I want to add mass from my hand to my other hand, I just move stuff over here, but I'm not creating more mass, right? Mass can't be created or destroyed. Momentum is conserved, charge is conserved, mass is conserved. Really, the correct ontological Emergent properties are preserved, like momentum and mass, and then charge is conserved. But conceptually, again, that doesn't really matter. Super, it's like dotting your I's and crossing your T's. It's just but point being is, when you say exponentiation, when you say exponential growth, you can't be talking about more mass, right? And so endless differentiation, again, how do you differentiate yourself as a person? You learn a new skill, you wear a different outfit, you don't create more mass, right? And so exponentiation is endless differentiation. And so we can state the fundamental theorem of mathematics: differentiation is exponentiation. Is exponential sentimental? And so, again, I just have that rewritten. Exponential growth can't mean more mass. Sensorality limits growth. Do algorithms grow? Is growth ordinal? Again, another word ending in th. Is growth agentic? Classic, gotta be agentic. Are cycles systemic? What is a system to a cycle? Minimization is finite, minimum is finite. All right, so when we have exponentiation, right, we just kind of covered that, but what is maximization? All right, sensorality maximizes sensation. What is sensation to experience? Again, that should be a very empirically understood. Sensorality maximizes experience. Oh, on the weekends, I want to go to this concert, then I want to go to Ibiza, then I want to go to Coachella, then I want to go do this and do this. Right? As an overall empirical evident thing, people maximize experience. Certainly in their like growing phase, certainly when they're coming up and getting famous or having money for the first time. And so that should be overwhelmingly true. In general, what is maximization, right? Is exponentiation maximizing? Sensorality is experientiality. So this is one of the ones where it was like experientiality is what I wanted to say, but I would spell that without an I, but then Googled it, spelling. Sensorality is experientiality. Again, the generalization of experience. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is experientiality. That's C to the T, direct iteration. Experience is exponential. Again, growth. The population grows. More people are experiencing more things. That realization is not unique. They talk about it. It consolidates our language. We refine and iterate our language. Our systems tend to optimal efficiency. Sensorality is experientiality. Exponentiality is infinite. So again, that's a restatement. Infinite uniqueness, endless differentiation. Exponentiality is infinite. Because again, infinity, when we say like, is the universe infinite? Now we have this physical bounding to what infinity is. And so just again, refining. We've already completely solved the conceptualization that is present in the derivation of sensorality. We're just progressing through all of it. We have to get through all of it, but anything that feels left unresolved is, again, we haven't posed the right question to answer definitively. Is potency finite? Is maximization finite? What is maximization and minimization to inversion? Minimization is mini. Natural definition, direct iteration, is mini petit. That's just, again, because again, this derivation process doesn't stop. And then the actual axiomatization, the direct iteration to stabilize sensorality, is just the same analysis process. We just have to get chronologically past what sensorality is, which is truly a refinement of the conceptualization of the species. The linguistics is well established and bounded, but you can't solve something that doesn't exist yet. And so we again, frankly, since when there was an episode where I said we've done enough, I was outside in the park and said we've done enough linguistics, where it's, again, we've certainly already hit the word form, but we just need the motivation, right? This is a direct chronological progress on a direct personal feel for Brad and conceptually and for the whole species. But we just need to work through, the data's out there, we just need the right motivation to say, hey, we change this word, reiterate this letter. But again, the word form is already known, right? Science team can directly iterate this with your super agentic collider superposition computers. But it's fraud, racketeering, conspiracy at the highest level. It has destroyed my life. It has caused me grave bodily harm. It has destroyed every bit of property I've ever produced. It has destroyed my entire quality of life and all things that could be human. And so, am I maximizing experience? No, I'm minimizing experience. I will never live a day of my life unless somebody chooses to stop lying about absolutely everything. There is no magical step. I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. To my estate right now today, I do not want one American to ever watch one of these videos. I'm simply putting my work out into the public in its entirety to get money, to try to live a life. Still fucking 33 this year. And so I'm trying to live. If I ever get enough money to just become a hermit and never deal with anybody, that will occur. I don't expect that to occur, so I will be productive until that happens. I don't expect that to happen in my lifetime, so I record this explicitly for my estate. Again, prioritize the prosecution and criminal punishment for all Americans and all American industry, frankly, all academia. But just wherever they'll make the law make sense and enforce it. And on top of that, I want the people that have played games all day, competed over nothing, and then not allow me to have a career and a family. I want your kids to be like, why can't I go to a museum? Why can't I go to this building? Why can't I go to that building? And it's because you guys are terrible people. So I want that reality to exist. I want this carnival society. Again, I own education. Genuinely. There is no other derivation of completion or even like anything close to what would be like, what's the first thing we do in math class? Here's Brad's research, which again is a chronological consequence independent of Brad. Here's all of the physical intuition to progress in the entire mathematical structure is infinite value actually. And it's all of logic, right? It's not just like, here's the Pythagorean theorem for fuck's sake. But regardless, my rights continue to be violated. To my estate, prosecute absolutely everybody, prioritize American people and American industry. And I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. What has been done to me, what continues to be done to me, is the most heinous, disgusting shit that has ever been recorded. But luckily, nobody has any values and nobody cares, and it will never change. That is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.